Welcome back to the Scarlet Edit. I'm your host, Nikki Corbett. This week, I was joined by my first male guest, Paul Bauer. Paul is a content creator, author, relationship coach, and the host of the Come On Man podcast, where he helps men level up and get better with women. One of his focus areas that sets him apart is his red pill praxeological perspective. What does that mean? In a nutshell, he helps men stay attractive to their wives and girlfriends. Intrigued? I sure was. Lack of attraction is one of the driving causes of affairs, so I thought a conversation with Paul would be enlightening and educational, to say the least. Let's get into it. All right, Paul Bauer, welcome to the Scarlet Edit. It's nice to have you here.
Nikki, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So everybody, Paul is a content creator, he is an author, and he is a men's coach. And I was very intrigued by what he is working on. And I thought he would be a really fun guest to dive into some relationship topics with. So let's get rolling.
Let's do it. I like to think of myself as a fun guy, Nikki.
Yeah. Well, good, because I like to think of myself as a fun gal. So,
Perfect.
I told you that one of the things that's in your online bio that really intrigued me was your red pill. And I know I'm going to butcher this last word. So say it for me.
Praxeological.
Okay. What does praxeological even mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a praxeology is where it's not really necessarily science-based or you're looking at
Okay.
studies and facts necessarily. You're looking at modeling things that work. And so
Okay.
for the last 25 plus years or so, guys have been online in forums, in groups, swapping notes about what works with women and what doesn't. There's a forum called So Suave where guys got
Okay.
together and talked about pickup tactics and stuff like that. And then certain
Mhm.
guys, they started going, okay, well, we know after swapping all these notes with different guys what works. Why does this work though? Because a lot of this stuff is very counterintuitive. It goes against what people think women are attracted to. And so a group of guys came in with different evolutionary psychology theories to try to explain some of the stuff. And that sort of got merged together into what we now refer to as the red pill praxeology. They just took what worked and left what didn't. And when people try to debate red pill, a lot of times they're like, well, where's the studies? Well, one, no one's going to fund studies on stuff that we talk about in red pill praxeology. But two,
Mhm.
it's guys swapping notes, just being out in the field on the ground, testing this stuff out and seeing what works. So
Okay.
we're not really concerned about studies. We're concerned about effectiveness.
Got it. So, the reason why I was interested in having this conversation with you is because I kicked this podcast off talking about affairs. And one of the things that you had mentioned in regards to this red pill praxeology was, you know, coaching and guiding people about staying attracted or on giving them ways to stay attracted to one another in their relationships and their marriages versus just focusing on the communication piece. And I thought that that really went hand in hand with the subject of affairs because unfortunately, affairs are things that happen. I always refer to an affair as a symptom, not the problem. And I think that so many people are very intrigued by the inner workings of affairs because oftentimes we don't hear about an affair until people get caught. Or maybe it's years down the road and someone decides to confide in you one night and say, oh, by the way, guess what happened 5 years ago? I never told anybody. So I think that the intrigue lies in that a lot of people aren't having that friend confide in them every step of the way and really understanding why they're doing what they're doing. And I do think that people step into affairs because there is a lack of intimacy at home. And whether that comes from no longer being attracted to your partner or any other reasons, it is one of the root causes of affairs. So you're doing coaching work on helping people, giving them tips and tricks and tools so they can remain attracted to each other, I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think people really are more fascinated with it because everyone loves drama. It's just
Yeah.
it's salacious that, oh, you're having an
Mhm.
affair. Oh, how naughty! Tell me more.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's the tea, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, we were chatting offline about the red pill praxeology perspective on cheating, and it can be easily broken down if you look at men and women's sexual strategies. So through from an evolutionary perspective, men and women have different sexual strategies. Women are what we call hypergamous. They are always looking for their best possible option, and they're generally looking, and I'm really oversimplifying this, but they're
Okay.
generally looking for a guy who's sexually attractive, exciting, fun to be around. We call those alpha traits. A lot of people hate the word
Okay.
alpha and beta, but we call those alpha
Yes.
traits. And then they're also looking for a guy that if they become pregnant, that will stick around and help provide and protect for her and her offspring now that she's pregnant. So women want both qualities in a guy with the alpha attractive qualities and the beta nurturing qualities.
Mhm.
And oftentimes women can't find both in the same guy. Maybe he's super attractive, but he's just a crap dad, so they'll have sex with this guy because he's sexually appealing, and then they'll find a beta guy to help her raise the kids, but she's not sexually attracted to this guy. So that happens
Mm.
a lot. Um,
Mhm.
Another thing that will happen is maybe the guy starts off with both traits. Maybe he was very sexually attractive. He did get her pregnant. Now he just goes hard on the beta side and he's just really being the protector and provider, but he's not doing the attractive qualities anymore, sort of lets himself go. That
Mm.
happens very often
Uh-huh.
as well. And I would say that probably happens the most in modern society. Usually women aren't necessarily getting with guys they're not attracted to initially.
Mhm.
So there's
Yeah.
something attractive about this guy. They like him, and then for whatever reason they start losing that attraction and they start looking for a better option. And so that's
Mhm.
typically how women work, and it's usually one guy at a time that so if they're in a relationship with a guy, she's not attracted to him, she starts looking for better options, and then the guy that she cheats with, she's really into this guy.
Mm.
She
Mhm.
loves this guy. So
Yeah.
that's hypergamy in a nutshell. It's not an evil thing. You hear a lot about it online, a lot of bad stuff. A lot of people think it's this new thing with modern women, and it's evolutionary psychology. It's been around since the beginning of time. And it's
Okay.
like, why wouldn't women want to be with their best possible option? Why wouldn't they? It makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and
So
I mean,
yeah,
when you were talking about that, like men like letting themselves go, I mean, dad bod is literally a thing. I mean, there's even mannequins in stores now that, are not no longer the fit aesthetic and they're kind of the dad bod aesthetic with the beer gut and, a thicker man, which I feel is a whole other conversation. But I
that's
mean, I get it.
society gaslighting us into thinking that it's okay to let yourself
Yeah.
go. It's not okay to let yourself go. We're gonna get hate for that one. But
No, but I
when we're
agree with you. So bring it on.
when we're talking about why men cheat, men have a different sexual strategy. Men are polygamous by nature, which means that
Mm.
they want to have sex with every chick out there. They want
Hmm.
unlimited access to unlimited sex all the time, and they want
Hmm.
all the different women that they can get. Most guys just can't get more than one woman at a time.
Yeah.
So what so men are different. Men can actually cheat and not feel anything for the person they're cheating with. It's just
Hmm.
like, oh, that this option presented itself, and so they cheat. And they
Hmm.
can still love their wives. It's a interesting difference between men and women. Whereas women, when they're cheating, they're typically in love with the guy they're cheating with, and they're out
Hmm.
of love with the guy they're cheating on. They just don't want to end the relationship quite yet. And then guys, they can have side women and feel nothing and still love the woman that they're with. So guys cheat for different reasons. It's usually they're cheating for opportunity, and women are cheating because they're not getting something in that relationship. Now, guys do, especially in dead bedroom situations, they will cheat. Instead of trying to fix the problem, they'll just be like, all right, fine, I'm going to get mine somewhere else. And
Uh-huh.
honestly, that can be an effective strategy to get your wife to get more on board. It's not
Hmm.
one that I necessarily recommend, but it does work. Um, and it's fascinating. We call it in the space dread game, which is
Okay.
basically you're introducing almost like a fear of loss in the other person, and women will tend to come back around. Guys don't necessarily like to come back around once their girl's gone off and cheated on them. That it's usually
Yeah.
they're pretty much done at that point. It's really
So
hard
isn't
to.
that kind of like gaslighting though? Like if I mean, don't get me wrong, I fully believe that in a relationship, the one of the main things that differentiates a friendship from a relationship is that you're sexually active with the person.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, going back to, cheating versus communication and what should come first, I mean, I would hope that in the event that my husband was feeling like he wasn't getting any at home, that he would at least have a conversation with me before going out and sleeping with someone else.
Yeah, and on its surface, it makes sense to do that. It makes sense to talk it out with this person. Like, we have a problem. Let's communicate the problem. The thing is that
Yeah.
men and women tend to communicate differently, and if more often than not, when you go to your wife to complain that she's not
Yeah.
sleeping with you enough, that's how exactly how it comes across. She's not hearing the words coming out of your mouth. She's hearing how your words make her feel, and she
Right.
feels like you're a whining complainer, and that makes her even less attracted because she doesn't respect a whining and complainer. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot
Mhm.
of when it comes to attraction between men and women, if she doesn't respect you, she can't love you and she won't feel
Yeah.
sexually attracted to you. So if you're doing unattractive behavior like complaining and, I just want to talk it out, it comes across as validation, complaining behavior, and it's just unattractive, which just further compounds the problem. So
Yeah.
so then what do you do, right?
Yeah, what do you do? I mean, because I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, you're absolutely right. If a man were to come to me and be like, "Hey, like we don't have sex enough," and blah 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 blah, you're exactly right. It's like, okay, but I feel like the first line of defense would probably be like, "Well, you're not doing this, or you do this, or because women we like connection, which makes us want to be intimate and we want to have that closeness. But if we're not getting that, it's going to make us not want to just jump your bones when you happen to walk through the door.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big thing that guys don't realize. We're taught in this society, this egalitarian concept of relationships that we're
Mhm.
equal, that we're men and women are the same, and so we should be equal partners and we should treat each other exactly the same in a relationship. It just doesn't work that way because we're not equal biologically,
Yeah.
psychologically, physiologically. We're different. And those differences are meant to complement each other, not necessarily to keep us apart. So when you embrace those differences and let women act like women and let men act like men, things tend to work out much better. But the thing is that we're not doing that sort of thing. And so what ends up happening is guys want to be the equal play the equal partner thing, and so they want their wife's buy-in on everything. They need her to make decisions for everything because happy wife happy life, and if I make the
Mhm.
wrong decision she's going to be mad at me, and it's going to be the wrong decision, she's going to complain about it. So guys, actually it's not an equal partnership at that point, because what when men end
Yeah.
up doing is they end up handing the keys to the kingdom over to their wife, and they say, you make all the decisions,
Mhm.
you decide everything and lead this relationship. And then women are like, wait a second, I never asked for this. I thought I was getting a
Yeah.
guy that I can, that would set the tone and lead, and I would follow his
Mhm.
lead, and he would, guide us through this challenging world. And here I am having to do this. Now that builds
Yeah.
resentment. And
Totally.
women are like, what? Ugh, like it gives them the ick. I like to say it gives them the ick. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and it's just because we're following this societal norm that we've been taught our whole lives. And so when guys step out of that, we say guys need to learn how to be attractive and to not be unattractive,
Mhm.
which sounds the same. It sounds the same,
It
right?
does
But
sound the same. So what's the difference?
right. So be attractive means you can't let yourself go. You have to work on your physical appearance. That means you have to go to the gym, bro. You have to get a haircut. You actually have to keep your beard trimmed. You have to take a shower.
Yeah.
You have to wear cologne. You have to, be physically appealing to your wife.
Mhm.
Don't be unattractive is all in your demeanor and your behavior. Are you the kind of guy
Mhm.
that emotionally crumbles when things are challenging? If
Mhm.
she is in a mood, I guess, if she's irritable, do you climb on her emotional roller coaster and start a big fight, or do you handle it with strength and indifference, and you don't let her moods affect you and you stay in center and stuff? Because all that kind of stuff, that kind of not getting angry when your wife does something or says something, because a lot of time
Mhm.
women will. throw these little things at us. So we call them shit tests
Okay.
because women, and a lot of times it's subconscious. Women will test men consciously or subconsciously, and a lot of it is
Mhm.
just to see what kind of reaction he has. And if his
Okay.
reaction is wrong, he fails the test. If his reaction was the way she expects it to be as a man, well, then never was a test at all. He's just acting like a normal man, right? So
Yeah.
when guys stop being so emotionally reactive to things, all that is uh, attractive behavior. And so when we
Mhm.
say be attractive, don't be unattractive, it's looks
Yeah.
and your behavior. And a lot of times guys'
Uh-huh.
behavior is atrocious. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of it's just a part of our upbringing as nice guys. We have a phenomenal book is called No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. He talks about
Okay.
this uh, I don't know, epidemic, pandemic of men with nice guy syndrome that's been going on since the World War II era. And we're in several generations of guys who are essentially nice guys. And what we mean by that is not kind. It has nothing to do with
Mhm.
kindness or being a good man. It means
Mhm.
you are overly accommodating, overly agreeable. You do things to get things. You don't do things because you're generally a giving person. You're expecting
Uh-huh.
something in return. And when you're not getting having those expectations met, then that builds resentment and you blow up and you become passive aggressive and all this
Yeah.
kind of unattractive behavior that men tend to have that causes women's attraction to erode in a long-term relationship.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So when you are working with men and you are coaching them through these types of phases of life, what kinds of like homework are they given? What kinds of things are they forced to take a look at and acknowledge to get their relationship back on track or to learn how to keep it on track?
Oh, so if you're going to do my let's say my dead bedroom coaching program,
Yeah, I've
it's a
never heard it called dead bedroom, which I think is
yeah,
so brilliant because I mean, it just is, but
that's what it is. Yeah, there's basically two main avenues that guys find themselves into the red pill space. One is they're married and they're trying to find out, how do I get my wife to have sex with me again? She said she
mhm.
hasn't had sex with me in weeks or months, or when she does, it's like, it's once a month, once a week, and it's lackluster, starfish, get it over with
Mhm.
quick type sex.
Yeah.
Or they've gone through a breakup and they're trying to get their ex back. Those are usually the
Okay.
two main avenues that guys find themselves in this space. So the dead bedroom situation, I mean, yeah, it's basically she's so turned off by you that now just the very thought of being intimate with you anymore is disgusting to her. So she's got a headache every single night. It's a damn
Mhm.
medical mystery, right? And or I've got low libido or whatever excuse it is. That's usually what it is.
Yeah.
It's usually an excuse, and it's an excuse because when divorces happen, miraculously
Yes.
after the divorce, she's back on the dating circuit. She's having sex with lots of guys. All of a sudden, sex is this amazing thing again. It's because it wasn't
Mhm.
with that guy, and she was totally turned off by that guy. It's not that she has low libido or whatever. It's an
Yeah.
attraction thing. So what do I tell guys? There's lots of different challenges when we have our coaching sessions. It's once a week, and we go through. There's usually something I need to teach them, and we go through different aspects of the relationship to show where these different symptoms show up, and then I show them like how to deal with those things, and then the challenge for the week is to go and try this out on your wife. I will
Okay.
say this. So usually it's a 3-month program with me, and guys will get out of a dead bedroom. Guys that do the work.
Uh-huh.
There's guys that pay for coaching expecting a magic
Mhm.
pill, and they won't go out and do any of this stuff. And then they
Yes.
don't get the results, and you're like, why did you pay me all this money? But
Yeah.
but the guys that do the work, I'll find that by week 2 they're not in a dead bedroom situation anymore. And
Really?
yeah, and that week is I'm teaching guys how to handle shit tests. And so
Mhm.
the reason why it works so well, and there's two great ways for guys to handle this sort of thing. If their wife is snippy and she throws like maybe a playful jab, or there's two ways that guys can handle this that are very effective. One is to be indifferent to it. You just act
Mhm.
like whatever she says doesn't bother you, and like, oh, did you say something kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Or what's even better, and the guys that really see results fast are the guys that are quick on their feet and they can do this,
Mhm.
is what we call agree and amplify. So
Okay.
that's where you agree with whatever she says, and then you amplify it to an absurd level. And what it does is it turns the negative that she threw at you into playful banter. And playful
Yeah.
banter is just flirting, really, right?
Right, right.
And so a great example of this, I had a client. He One of the things that we talked about was how you need to work on your appearance and dress better. So he started dressing much nicer, and it was literally the same night after our session where I challenged him to go and do either agree and amplify or act indifferent to one of your wife's tests. Well, he was dressed in a nice work shirt. It was a button-up shirt. He was looking nice, and he went to go to the supermarket to fill up a 5-gallon thing of water. Right, just a
Mhm.
very simple task. Anyway, he's walking out of the house. She goes, "Where are you going dressed all nice like that?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to go head out and talk to my girlfriend at the supermarket. She always gets me what I need." And she's like, "Oh, I bet you are," or whatever. Anyway, he smiled and winked at her and then walked out. And then
Uh-huh.
when he came home, she started giving him crap about it. She's like, "Oh, did your little girlfriend get you your water or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, she gave me everything I needed." And
Oh my
he
gosh.
just
Yeah, he just played into it.
played into it, and he goes, "She was so into it and like having fun with me and whatever." He's like, "We ended up like making out and like having sex like that night." He was like,
Oh
"We haven't had sex in months." And I'm
my
like,
gosh.
I go, "That's because you're being attractive. That's attractive
Yeah.
behavior. You're sort of being a funny, playful guy. You're not getting defensive." And that's what most
Yeah.
guys do.
Yeah.
If she said, "Oh, were you going dressed like that?" You get all mad and, "Oh, well, what, I can't dress like this," and that's unattractive behavior, you see?
Yeah.
So those
Yeah,
are the
definitely.
little things that actually matter in relationships, and guys are completely clueless about it.
This week's episode is sponsored by my Instagram, which actually means it's sponsored by me. But now would be a great time to follow me over there, and the handle is at thescarlet.edit. If you're enjoying this episode, send it to a friend, or maybe your husband, boyfriend, brother, or dad. I don't know, but let's get back to the show. So I'm so fascinated by this just because in some ways it seems so simple, and if you are in a good place with your significant other, that would probably be how you would react. But when you're at a point where you're just so annoyed by or turned off by the other person, like nothing they do is going to make you want to even flirt with them or consider flirting with them, and at that point you're just kind of making snide remarks as they're coming and going. So I think that's really fascinating how that has worked out. So here's a question. Do you have men that have come in and they're like, I'm not attracted to her?
I have had that. Not as much though, because usually if the guy's like, "I'm just not attracted to her," they're not looking for help to fix that. They're just gonna
Okay.
go off and cheat, or they're just looking for a divorce. They're not looking to
Okay.
to change that
Uh-huh.
dynamic. But when guys do, because I have guys say this in the comments, I've had guys DM me about this sort of thing. And usually what I will tell them is that often women are mirrors of their men, or they can be. And
Mm.
so I said, if you really want your wife to get back in shape and maybe go to the gym, I'm like, when was the last time you went to the gym?
Mhm.
When was the last time
Yeah.
you started working on your appearance? Because this
Mhm.
is where dread game can come in. Like, you don't have to actually cheat to implement dread game. You can do passive dread, which I think is far more effective and less devastating to a relationship. But passive
Yeah.
dread is where you actively try to be the most attractive person you can possibly be. That means get in shape. You work on your money, muscles, game, and frame. Those are like the core four that we talk about.
Mhm.
And you start being more social. That means you go out, you talk to everyone you meet. And what the thing is that women tend to notice when other women are checking out their man before their man notices other women checking
Oh,
them out.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And this is just, it's just women are very, very competition conscious. And
Mhm.
if they are actually into the guy that they're with, they really notice them. this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you go out and you're dressing better, you're walking with more attractive body language, you're making eye contact with people, you're talking with people, you're funny, you're striking up conversations with people, and then the waitress at the restaurant is laughing at your jokes a little too much, well, your wife starts noticing these things.
Oh, for sure.
And when she starts noticing that other women are attracted, a lot of times that will snap a wife out of complacency and she'll start working on her attractiveness. I one of my clients was doing that. This guy, if he can turn things around, anybody can turn things around. He had kidney failure. His marriage, he was a good Christian man. She was a good Christian woman. They
Mhm.
waited to have sex until they got married. And then sex
Wow.
was never really that big of a thing for her because of her religious upbringing. Sex was always this
Mm.
dirty thing, but she always
Mhm.
wanted kids. So as soon as they got married, they started having sex to have kids. They had kids, and then sex went downhill. And
Mhm.
this guy let himself go. He got up to like over 300 pounds. He had kidney
Mhm.
problems, the kidney problems, erectile dysfunction problems, all
Oh,
this
jeez.
stuff exacerbated the dead bedroom situation. And so he was like, I
Yeah.
think 13 years without sex with his wife. When
Oh,
he started
man.
working with me, he did already fix the erectile dysfunction stuff because it was medical related, and a lot of it was like his
Mhm.
diet and whatever. So he got that
Sure.
fixed, and then he started working with me. And within a year, he had completely turned his relationship around. His wife started noticing him significantly losing weight, and she
Mm.
started going, "I don't want you to lose any more weight. I don't want you to lose any more weight. You've lost enough." And a lot of it was because of her.
Interesting.
It was her insecurity, thinking,
Sure.
"Oh my God,
Yeah.
he's making himself more
Becoming more
attractive,
attractive. Yeah.
and other women are noticing." And he goes, "No." He goes, "No, I'm not at my goal weight yet. I'm going to keep going." And she was
Mhm.
like, I guess I better start going to the gym too." So she started going working
Oh.
out. She started dieting. She lost a ton of weight. And
Uh-huh.
then he wasn't hiding any of my stuff either. He was like, he's listening to my podcast every day. He's reading all my books.
Mhm.
And she's seeing this, and she goes, "That guy, you're in his men's group, right? Like, what books does he recommend for women?" And
Oh
so
my
and
gosh.
so she starts. So I said, "The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands" by Dr. Laura is a great book. I said,
Mhm.
"Keys to the Kingdom" by Alison Armstrong is a great book. My girlfriend just released a book called "Belly's Full, Balls Empty." You can find that on
Oh
Amazon.
my god.
That's a great book. It just came
That is
out.
an amazing title. Oh
And
my god, I can't wait to read it.
but it's all those things are all about how women can be more relaxed in their feminine and be more of that
Mhm.
feminine essence in the relationship. And
Yeah.
then what he's working on is being more of the masculine leader of the relationship. And so when they both started working on that together, their relationship is just phenomenal now. And he's like, "Our relationship is better now than it was when we first got married."
Oh,
And she
that's
sends
so
him dirty
great.
text messages now, and
Uh,
she's and all the stuff she never used to do that. In fact, the first time she sent him a dirty text message, he goes, "Who is this?" He's like, "Who?"
oh my
And
gosh.
I go, "Dude, don't do that. Don't shut it down. You need to like
Yeah.
you want to reward that good behavior, you know?" So
Yeah.
so he's just embracing it, and they're having a great relationship now.
That's so awesome. Okay, I've got two questions on everything that you just said. First of all, do you think that men and women, like, innately as individuals, do you think that we have different, I don't know if biorhythms is the right word, or just basically like how much intimacy we crave and how often we crave it? Like, I've seen people say, like, "Oh, we're so out of balance. Like, my husband could have sex every single day and I only want to have sex like every other week." Or like, do you believe that that is real, or do you believe that it's more based on levels of attractiveness to one another?
No, I think that that's very real. I mean, there really is, a lot of that has to do with our hormone levels. Like
Uh,
guys with low testosterone, and that's a big problem. That's a big problem out there. Guys with low
Huge problem.
testosterone, um,
Totally.
and I've experienced that because God, 3 years ago now, I was training for a Tough Mudder,
Oh, okay.
10K, and so I typically stay on a ketogenic diet, but for
Mhm.
that, I really wanted to drop a lot of weight because there's a lot of body weight exercises, and so I did the carnivore diet. which is
Okay.
it's just like,
Just
it's,
meat and salt, right?
well, it's meat and eggs and
Okay, yeah.
basically any kind of animal products you can have, and that's it, you know? Like almost no carbs at all. And the problem with the carnivore diet is that you become extremely mineral deficient, and there's certain minerals you need to produce testosterone. So my testosterone levels plummeted
Oh,
when I was
no.
training for that. And I when I had my blood tested, because my libido was in the trash, and my girlfriend's
Oh.
libido is insane, and it's a good problem to have. But
Yeah.
I was like, but I loved her and I'm attracted to her, so I wanted to do something about it. And that's the thing is,
Yeah.
when there is an attraction problem, people are less likely to want to do something to fix the
Okay.
problem, you see.
Mhm.
But I wanted to fix it, so I went and had my blood tested, and I was well below the normal range. So I had to get on
Okay.
TRT treatments to get myself back to the optimal range. But now that I'm in the optimal range, I still think she wants it more than me. So a lot of that's a hormone level thing,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit. But
Okay.
still, if you're not at least having sex, I don't know, however many times that feels good for both people, then something's
Mhm.
off, you know? And so
Okay.
if it, for me, it's like, it's an every night, it's got to be at least once a night thing. For her, it can be like, for her, it could be 20 times a day. Like like I'm in my 40s, lady, you know, I can't keep
Yeah.
up with that.
Oh my
She's
gosh.
9 years younger than me. So
Okay. Oh, I love that though, because I was curious because, you often do see people who talk about, their differences. And I am a believer that s- so many things, hormones, emotions, how we feel about ourselves, all of those different things play a role in actually wanting to be intimate with our significant other. And I also think too, like, it's funny, years ago, I remember, I think it was Kelly Ripa, she was talking about her and her relationship with her husband, Mark. And she was like, the thing that we believe in so much is like, the more you have sex, the more you want sex. And I thought that that was like really an interesting way to look at it. And I kind of think that's true. It's like the more you do it, you're like, oh, this is fun. And you're more comfortable and you're more, vulnerable and able to just like go for it. Whereas if it's something that you're doing or if you're feeling like you have to perform, then I think it can be something that you're kind of like, oh gosh, like I have to gear myself up for this. But if it's something you're doing on a regular basis, you might be more excited for it.
well, I'll tell you what too. I mean, it also behooves guys to learn how to be good at it, because I think if
Yeah.
because it's not the case if the guy's trash at it, and
Yeah.
he's a two pump chump, and she's not
Hmm.
getting any satisfaction out of it. She's not going to want to do it more.
Right.
But if you there's a guy, one of the early pioneers of red pill praxeology. His name is Royce. He has these 16 commandments, and one of them is basically like, sex your girl up good, because the more
Hmm.
orgasm she has, the more in love with you she is. And
Yes.
it's almost counterintuitive to men, because we're told that women aren't that into sex. They don't have a lot of testosterone, and it's always men that are pushing for sex. It's like, I think women enjoy sex as much, if not more, than men. It
Yeah,
does take them a little bit more to get in the mood, but once they're in the mood, I think they enjoy it probably more than men, especially if they're getting regular orgasms. So it behooves guys to learn
definitely.
how to be good about it. A good friend of mine, he's a former porn star. His name is Eric Eberhard. He wrote a
Okay.
phenomenal book several years ago called Unleash Your Sexual Superpowers. And that book is a game changer. The problem with it is it's no longer in print. The company that had the rights to it went out of business, and so he can't republish it on his own.
Oh,
It's a
no.
whole thing, but it was a life-changing book.
Wow. This is all such great information for women and men. I think that it's given me such an insight into the things that men struggle with. One of the things I really liked what you said about how we're kind of like a mirror of the person that we're with, and how one person is dressing, just staying in their pajamas all day. And then the other person might be less inclined to get up and get ready and take a shower and put on nice clothes and do something and taking care of themselves. And I also really loved what you said about being attractive and also not being unattractive, and like having those be two different things. I think that's so important to think about. So I have one more question for you. So as far as all of this goes, as it relates to couples and being attractive to one another and maintaining that level of attractiveness to each other, as the relationship continues for years. Do you believe that if a couple started off super attracted to each other and then they got to a place where they weren't and they were no longer having sex and not really just kind of going through the motions, do you believe that they can get back to that space? Or are there some relationships that just are gonna not be able to make it?
There are some relationships that just don't make it. And that's one of the problems with Christian relationship advice books is because especially when you're married, divorce is a sin. Like there's very
Yeah.
specific reasons that you can get divorced under the church doctrine, but otherwise you made a commitment under God and there's no quitting. So that's where my book is different when it comes to fixing a relationship, because one of the things that I will say is you will get to a point where you've leveled up, you've increased your attractiveness, you've gotten back in shape, and your wife's still not getting on board. It's like she's so emotionally and mentally checked out that she just doesn't care. And so she's just
Mhm.
not going to put in that effort. At that point, you need to make a hard decision. But what happens is that women file for a vast majority of divorces. Women break up with
Yeah.
men far more than men break up with women. So what will happen is a lot of guys will just be resolved to be miserable for the rest of their lives and not do anything until she's had enough that she's finally going to drop that brick in your lap. So what I tell guys is if you've worked on all this stuff and she's still not getting on board, now it's time to take the offensive. It's time for you to go seek out an attorney and make a plan for your exit. But if you
Mm.
don't work on all this stuff, you're just going to have the same problems in your next relationship, because no matter what relationship you're in, there you are. You are the common denominator in every relationship. And a lot of guys think
Mhm.
it's her, she's the problem. If I just trade up, it's going to be better. And it's
No.
no, what most people's patterns are is they date the same person just with a different face, and it's
Mhm.
because they never work on themselves. That's what my book that I just came out with, which is all about breakups. It's all about that, because now that you got dumped, now you really need to work on yourself so that you
Totally.
never deal with this again. But guys
Yeah.
who are trying to fix that relationship, sometimes they get to a point where she's holding them back now, and
Uh,
now they need to move on, and they're going to be in a better position when they get back out in the dating circuit now that they've worked on their attractiveness. Most guys don't do that though. They get blindsided, then they're forced on the dating circuit and they're flounder around, and then they complain that dating apps don't work, and then they hate all
right.
women, and it's a whole thing. It's like, well, you never worked on yourself, bro.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh my gosh. Well, I really have loved this conversation because ultimately I think it really boils down to taking responsibility for yourself and, really doing good things for yourself, taking care of yourself, prioritizing yourself, being the best you that you can be. And I mean, it's kind of a trickle down effect, right? If you are doing all these great things, you're taking care of yourself, you're looking nice, like you said, smelling nice, you're being a good person, you're working on your emotions, you're doing all these things, it's going to better every aspect of your life. It's not
Absolutely.
just going to better your
It
relationships.
works the other way around too, because you mentioned
Mhm.
how or I said women are often a reflection of their men. It works the other way, because when I
Mhm.
was married, my now ex-wife, she read The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands, and she
Mhm.
implemented what Dr. Laura talks about in that book for probably about a month, about a
Mhm.
month and a half or so, and she was just the sweetest person to be around. It made me want to do more things for her. I was happy to help around the house, do whatever she needed. Man, I loved it. And then it became too much work for her to put in all that
Yeah.
kind of effort, so she quit. and
Mm.
and then we fell back on our patterns, and the relationship went to hell in a handbasket. And
Uh-huh.
it works the other way. other But you have to realize, and this is what I tell guys: the work never stops, because
Mhm.
you'll always fall back on your old programming, and you can't undo 20, 30, 40 years of programming by reading a book
Mhm.
once and then practicing it
Yeah.
a couple of times. You have to
Yeah.
consistently do this stuff forever if you want things to
Mhm.
work out in the long term.
That is such great advice, and I absolutely love it. So everybody listening, if you are inspired by all the things that Paul has shared, feel free to share this episode with your husbands or boyfriends because I think he dropped a lot of great wisdom and knowledge on keeping, both parties happy in relationships. So, Paul, thank you so much for coming and having a conversation with me. It's been wonderful to chat with you. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Yeah, I would say go to comeonmanpod.com. That'll take you to my Gumroad page. I have some free ebooks there. You could book a call with me if you want. There's links to all my books, my latest 2 books. One for what we were talking about mostly today is fixing a relationship. My book, Get Her to F You
I love
Again.
it.
Get Her to
That's
F You Again
amazing.
is my book for relationships or fixing a broken relationship. And then this one, Forget That B, is for when you go through a breakup and you need to move on. You can't stop thinking about the ex. This shows you one, how to get your ex back, and then tells you why that's a terrible idea, and then freaks you through the healing process so that this never happens again. And then I got a book coming out in December called Keep Your Bitch, and it's going to be the red pill guide for long-term relationships and how to maintain that attraction for the long term. So, but yeah, go to comeonmanpod.com. You can find all that stuff there. And you can also listen to my podcast. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Awesome. And you guys, Paul also mentioned some other great books in our conversation, and I will add those to the show notes as well. I think that the more things we can read and the more different experts we can listen to, especially on, self-improvement and relationship stuff, the better, because try to learn a little bit from somebody new every single day. So Paul, thank you for being that guy for me today.
Nikki, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
What a conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, rate and review on Apple would be amazing. 5 stars if you're feeling it. And if YouTube is your jam, go ahead and subscribe over there too. As always, thank you so much for listening. I love that you're here, and we will see you next week.